All right, friends, in studio with us from Wisconsin up to UND, all around the United States, and landed here in the Fargo-Moorhead area, Mr. Derrick LaPoint. So, Derrick, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
You bet. And a deep, sultry voice, off to a great start.
I got the face for radio and nice voice, so I got my work cut out for me this morning.
Derrick, we were talking off air before this, and it's a fascinating background that you have from Wisconsin originally. And then tell me about your life and then where you find yourself now.
Yeah, so life's taken me a lot of different places, but had the good fortune to be talented at a sport and in hockey, and grew up in Wisconsin, and was able to have a lot of offers through a lot of different universities across the country, and it was an exciting time traveling and being a 16, 17-year-old kid and kind of being touted over, which is really strange and really bizarre.
That's my story too. But go ahead.
But I'll never forget my senior year of high school. We had the recruitments for the universities. I was eligible for the NHL draft, as well as the draft for the USHL, which the Fargo Force wasn't in the league at the time, but Green Bay was. And Green Bay drafted me, committed to the University of North Dakota, and then was drafted in the NHL. So it was
oh my gosh,
a whirlwind of a year, really exciting. Made my way up to UND, had a fantastic time up there. One thing that I always was stressed upon at an early age from my parents was focus on your education. You never know how long sports is going to take you, and
sounds like some good parents.
That was the case for me. I had a bad injury my sophomore year of college, and in professional sports, all it takes is that one injury, and you got a little red mark next to your name that you're damaged goods, and you're a piece of meat. And I was able to play a couple years after UND, and until I kind of re-injured that injury again, and.
So that red mark was accurate. Is what you're telling me.
And I had good relationships with Florida's management. I was drafted by the Florida Panthers, and I had conversations with their GM and their scouts and others. I still talk to them to this day, and they tell me as soon as that injury happened, I was damaged goods, and they weren't really going to sign me. So it was one of those things that's tough to take, but I still got to play at a really high level, something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to ever do. And it took me so many different places. Met my wife at UND, which I'm so grateful for, and we have a little 1-year-old son now.
Sweet.
That we're being recruited now all over the region for where our son's going to play hockey at. So that's
at the age of 1.
Yeah, as soon as we got announced that
That
we were
is not my life.
expecting, we had some people reaching out of where we were going to live, and trying to move us across border or some other things. So it's it's exciting.
You find yourself now as like a cornerstone in Moorhead. I want to make sure I get your title right. You're the CEO of Downtown Moorhead Incorporated, right?
Correct.
And Moorhead is a dynasty for hockey as well. And so the CEO of Downtown Moorhead Incorporated, what does that mean?
Well, really, it was a group of small individuals. So Dave Anderson, who was previously Downtown Dave in Fargo, and
is he not Downtown Dave anymore? I still know
him
as Downtown Dave.
He's still Downtown Dave for sure. So Dave Anderson, Moorhead resident, and some others really kind of brought up the idea of we want somebody to focus on the policies and the change of downtown Moorhead.
Yeah,
everybody's seen the successes of downtown Fargo. I was, a part of it towards the tail end of it. I was with the city of Fargo doing all their downtown stuff for the last 3 years. When the job came open, I knew about it. I can say it. I'm, not ashamed of it. I did not apply. I did not apply at the time just because I was satisfied with the city of Fargo and enjoying what I was doing and the relationships that I was building. And they had over 100 applicants for the job last summer. At that point, they decided to actually open it back up and go national. Hired Kara Jorvig in town here with Allegro Group, and got a phone call one day at lunch and got asked to just come in and have a conversation. And 4 months later, here I am in this position. And, really the big question I had for them was, how do you define success for this role, and what are you trying to do? And the answer I got is we're trying to change the perception of downtown Moorhead. And I said, well, how do you define perception?
Right.
Is it physical change, social change, economic change? What are we talking about? And really the answer was all the above.
Yeah. So it sounds like an easy task that they have mounted you with.
Yeah, it's I mean, we got to start somewhere, right? And that's kind of been the case where Fargo 20 some odd years ago in the 1999 2000s, we're in a very pivotal spot. So we're trying to break down some barriers and get some things happening.
Well, Derrick, I grew up in Fargo, graduated in 1998 from Fargo North and went to NDSU and have stayed here ever since. And I've noticed that Fargo and Moorhead have moved at different speeds. Fargo was the downtown area was not like the chic place to be. My sister used to drag Broadway as like her high school thing, and that's what all the troublesome kids would do is they would drag Broadway and find people to party with and that sort of thing. And now downtown Fargo, as we see it today, is this empire. And what's Moorhead's path then? Because Kilburn Group is not in Moorhead, which is a major funder. You now have the Moorhead Center Mall, which is on the struggle bus a little bit. You have some great infrastructure and some great opportunities, but what comes first?
Well, I think again, we're at a very pivotal point and very similar point to where Fargo was in those early 2000s, in that we're at a point where we're looking at Center Avenue, which in my personal opinion, I think Center Avenue, it won't be Broadway in any capacity to what Fargo is, but it can be our center street, if you want to call it that. And that's scheduled for reconstruction in 2019. So right now, my biggest thing when I first came in is we have 3 highways running through downtown Moorhead. First, Center, and Main. It's get me as quick as I can to Fargo and get me as quick as I can to Lakes Country. I mean, that's really what it is.
But I see a place like Junkyard Brewery and what that's doing for the energy in that area. What else is to come? Because if people aren't going to just breeze through, and if they're really going to make it an experience, what else needs to be there?
Well, I think it's slowing the traffic down, and it's creating that kind of strip of buildings that front the street. So the city owns actually a lot of the parking around the mall. They own a lot of land in downtown that we can go out for proposals right away. We need to get more people living in downtown. That's the big issue. We just set up a policy goal with the city of Moorhead of we want 500 more housing units in the next 5 years in downtown. We need to focus on people because people will generate value. The other thing is we do have great projects that are on the horizon. We have the 8th and Main project, the Block E one that's coming out of the ground as we speak.
That's beautiful, by the way.
Yep, it's fantastic. We got Usher's House that'll move the restaurant in there. Eventide will have their headquarters with some people living above. Just a couple blocks down next to Hornbacher's, there's a large apartment complex being built. So there's things that are starting to happen. There's rehabs that are starting to happen. Kevin Bartram is doing the Simon's Warehouse and Armory building that will happen later this year. So, I mean, things are starting to put in place, but it's really, for me, it's looking at what our policies are. I obviously know Fargo really well. I know West Fargo really well, but how do we compare to our surrounding communities? Detroit Lakes, Barnesville, Dilworth, you name it. And we need to make sure we're on the same playing field, because right now we aren't. From an economic incentive standpoint, whatever you want to call it, we need to make sure our policies are competitive, and we can go out and promote that and bring businesses in and support the businesses that are already there.
I'm fascinated with this, Derrick, and I love that you're in the driver's seat for this, or at least the CEO to make this happen. I love Moorhead, and there's some special stuff there, and to have a group that's invested simply in re-energizing and revitalizing is pretty special. So if people want to learn more about this, do you have a website or anything that folks can go to?
We're so new, we don't have a website
I
yet.
love that, man. I love that.
We have a great board. We have a lot of great investors. We're working with the university presidents, so we're working with students to design a logo and everything else. But we do have a Facebook page, Downtown Moorhead Inc. You can search it on that. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us at this point, and we'll work to build that in time. Obviously, we're so new, we're just getting our feet on the ground.
Derrick, thanks for doing what you're doing. Love to have you in our community and somebody investing in downtown Moorhead. The best is yet to come, and I can't wait to see it. Folks, in the meantime, we're going to swing to break, but head to livefargomoorhead.com to find out what your home is worth. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch.